And so now I'd like to introduce our valedictorians. And so they're going in this particular order. So Harry Tunggal and Sonali Verma and Elli Levin will now give the valedictory address.
On behalf of the two other valedictorians and myself, I would like to welcome and thank Bishop Cotto, Mr. Perry, our parents, faculty and staff, our family, and our friends. I speak now to the class of 2015. Well guys, we made it. It is said that education frees people, but rather, on this day, I think that we have been freed from education. No more shall we trudge through that slow descent into madness known as membeing. No more shall we submit ourselves to seemingly endless lectures about market equilibrium. As our ears begin to bleed, the ambient noise rising to a wild cacophony which reverberates in the darkness like a vivid nightmare, echoing through a cracked mirror of sorrow. No more shall the young men in our audience be subjugated by the harsh rules regarding facial hair. At last, our faces can be unkempt and unshaven. Huzzah, for we shall revel in our newfound masculinity. I was asked by Ms. Cummings, Mr. Francis, and Mr. Smith to give advice about the future during my speech and to dispense some wisdom. I'm not sure how I'm qualified to do either of these things. I mean, I can't give advice about the future because I've never been there. I can't dispense wisdom because I don't always make the wisest decisions. And basically, you'd have better luck seeking advice and wisdom from a burrito. But I'll try my best because I've got time to kill. My first piece of advice is this. It's okay not knowing what the heck you're doing. How is this so? Well, we all survived freshman year, right? Given that, I think it's safe to say that we are all capable of living in catatonic states of utter delirium and complete ignorance. There will come times when we're given an impossible situation and we won't know what to do. I mean, do I risk choosing a major that I enjoy, or do I just get pressured into doing something I don't want to do? Do I choose between staying with a significant other, or do I pursue a career far away? Animal fries, or just the normal ones? You see, life will stump us, and that's okay. Just go 60% with your gut, and the other 40% with your brain. It's worked out okay for me so far. My second piece of advice is to always use your turn signals. They're there for a reason. That's all I got for that one. Advice number 3 is to always live in the now. For a while, I debated with myself, should I include this in my speech? I mean, how do I explain this without sounding too cliche? Well, to that end, I'm just going to talk about music. As some of you may know, I occasionally pick up the guitar. My favorite part is just improvising, you know, like making up a solo right up on the spot. Improv is a lot of fun, but the problem is that you're always thinking of the next note to play. You never just allow yourself to savor the thing that you just played. And, you know, before you know it, the song is over and it was all a blur. So take the time to realize the significance of the now. Don't let the song of your life be a blur. My fourth piece of advice is this. Never, ever watch the Star Wars prequels. Ever. I mean, in other words, never put yourself in a bad situation. And if you do find yourself in a bad situation, just know that there is a way out if you want one badly enough. In some cases, this is called asking your parents for help. My fifth piece of advice is to be in it for the long game. Be patient. Don't give up too easily. Leonardo da Vinci, the Italian Renaissance man, was for a time a failed artist, much like myself in Miss Nancy's class during sophomore year. He endured an exile that lasted 16 years, but he didn't give up. Nor did he move back in with his parents, play video games all day, and eat Cheetos until he was a quivering, feeble ball of sadness curled up in a lonely and godforsaken corner of the house. No, Da Vinci practiced and researched obsessively. And like I said, he was for a time a failed artist, but he never gave up. Instead, he went on to do great things, like invent pizza, start the Ferrari company, and even star alongside Russell Crowe in the film Gladiator. Well, that's all I've got. And you can choose to follow my advice, or you don't. And as I close this speech, I have one last piece of advice to give you. Thank the people that love you. Thank your parents for the sacrifices they have made. Thank your friends for being by your side for the last 4 years. Thank your teachers for putting up with you. Thank your relatives, your significant other, if there is one. Thank your dog, your cat, your dentist, your insurance agent. Thank your iPad too. Thank God. And special shout out to my uncle. Thanks for listening, and God bless.
You bunch of hot dog heads. Those were the first words out of his mouth. I had never been called a hot dog head before, nonetheless expected to be called one by my first freshman teacher on the first day of school. Thanks, Mr. Nudes. I was shocked, and that's not only because the vegetarian inside of me was letting out a paralyzing scream. I am not a hot dog head. My first period was already throwing unexpected curveballs at me that I could not deal with, and never would be able to, as evidenced by my lengthy and very successful softball career. Ask my coach. Soon second period rolled around, no pun intended. And to my horror, I realized I could not find my classroom. When, 20 desperate minutes later, I finally walked in, everyone stared as it dawned on me that I knew no one. As I sat down in the back, terrified and insanely embarrassed, a girl I recognized from my first period gave me a wide, toothy grin, leaned over, and whispered, "Don't worry, I couldn't find this class either." I smiled back and introduced myself. That moment, on that first day of high school, I realized everything is going to be okay. I had a supportive and friendly community willing to help me as I carried myself through this intense and wild journey known as high school. From the first day, we parted from our former ties to our middle schools and became a cohesive class. We banded together in times of great excitement, such as during rallies and focus days, and in times of great distress, such as right before Miss Reese's rather difficult and torturous tests. Darn you, Econ. Some of my favorite memories come from spending time with this class, and it is during these years that I became the person who I am today. And I am pretty awesome. So congratulations, guys, and thank you. The time, however, has come for us to move forward. We all have a destined path, some following a sprightly yellow brick road that is clear and defined, others taking the less known trail. For many, high school is a wild and exciting stop on our way to our futures, futures that we now have the ability to control because of what we learned here at SPSV. Although we separate today, we are still held together as one class. We will meet new people, make new friends, learn new things. We will grow older and, hopefully, become more independent and responsible. No guarantees. But no matter what, We will remember where we came from and what we have achieved here as Bruins. SPSV is a place where we have created lasting friendships, and that really means we are all in this together. From day one, we were the class with the courage to act and the heart to serve. We are not merely a group of teenagers who have gone to school together for 4 years, but we are a family that have broken from the status quo and played spontaneous games of Foursquare in the middle of the senior lair, organized a class goodbye at the talent show on field day, and had to be kicked out at the end of our senior focus day at Dan Foley Park because we spent too much time crying and hugging each other. On the first day of school, we walked around campus as strangers. On the last day, we walked around as a family, united by our memories. As we strive to make a difference, we will carry the spirit of compassion and change the world and make a difference. That spirit of compassion is one that I have felt from the very first day of my time here at SPSV. We will live our lives as if our sorrows are written in sand and our joys in marble. College will no doubt be great, but remember the places you went, the people you met, and the memories you made here at SPSV. As we go forward, I repeat the words of the wisest and only lion I know. Roar. Translation according to Disney, remember who you are. Thank you.
I love kids' movies. I crave the adventure, I cherish the magic, I long for the humor. I would continue, but I'm running out of synonyms for love, and I'm going to assume you don't want to be here all day. Who doesn't enjoy Disney, Pixar, and DreamWorks? There's something ironic about that. We dub them kids' movies, but everybody knows adults love The Lion King just as much as 5-year-olds. I have a theory as to why these films appeal to adults just as much as to little ones. Of course, after we've aged a few years, we get more of the jokes and the references to Shakespearean literature. But the real reason is these children's movies are designed to teach us a lesson. I've gathered quotes from popular characters that truly capture the magic of what children's entertainment has taught us. From Mulan, the flower that blooms in adversity is the most rare and beautiful of all. From The Iron Giant, you are who you choose to be. From Avatar: The Last Airbender, my personal favorite, if you look for the light, you can often find it. But if you look for the dark, it is all you will ever see. When we were little, these lessons were little more than bundles of words too complex for us to understand. After we've grown older and we dust off the film and watch it again, we realize how much we have missed and just how relevant these lessons are. Who knows, one day we might look back at all of this and realize how important it has been in forming who we are today. The lessons that we've learned here have only just begun. That right there is how we should live. Although it's always fun to look back at our old adventures with nostalgia, we shouldn't forget all that our adventures have taught us. Even though we are graduating today, don't forget to keep learning. It is through learning that we grow. Think about it. How much have we learned these past 4 years? How much have we grown? We arrived here gangly and immature teenagers, and look what happened. I see in front of me quality producers, complex thinkers, effective communicators, and most importantly, men and women of character and compassion. Yes, groan internally all you want, but it's true. We are ready to take on the world, all because we suffered through 4 years of math and history. Speaking about learning, I would like to talk about one lesson in particular: be yourself. A lot of so-called kids' movies cover this topic with Be True to Your Heart from Mulan and Remember who you are from The Lion King. And yes, even Let It Go from Frozen. True to your heart. That's an important message. Unfortunately, it is also one that is hard to follow. Well, guess what? It's time for us to heart all over, forgive the pun. This is the time of our lives, and we can't spend it locked up inside of ourselves. The best rule you can live by is really a very simple one. Do what you love, provided that it doesn't hurt anyone or yourself. I know as well as anyone that sometimes it's hard to accept everything about ourselves. We're afraid that people will see our quirks and our foibles, and they will judge us. But let me tell you something. We are not the sum of everything others find to be wrong with us. We are the aggregation of everything we love and everyone who loves us. Don't be afraid to be the person you are inside and do the things you love. Embrace you. As we go out into the world, there will be many opportunities for us to shine. Don't cover your lights, because you are, in the words of the Lego movie, the most talented, most interesting, and most extraordinary person in the universe. And you are capable of amazing things. Do what you love, follow your dreams, and look for the messages in life. And never forget the words of the inimitable Dr. Seuss. Today you are you, that is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. Thank you.